I'm gonna cover it. We should be live. Stop every. Let me see. Yeah, we're live. Yo, we're live. This is a disaster and a half. Mostly because of time zone. Oh, shoot. Give me a second to change my Discord setting overlay. Sorry about that. That's the better overlay. The other overlay that I need to. Sup everyone, this is Gameplayer episode 23, and just like how Grand, GT7 is a disaster, this show starting as a disaster. We're missing a few people, but that's just because of time zone. Um, yeah, luckily I was able to get a few of my guys on here, and let's have a great show, I think. Introduce yourself, Nate. What you been playing?
Yeah, so Innate or aka the real Innate. I've been playing shoot man, everything under the damn sun. Gran Turismo 7 still. I kind of eased back on that mainly just cuz I finished the campaign on that or the main part of the campaign. It was great. That part is really well done. And then I've been playing Triangle Strategy. That's been like a big pickup for me. I've been getting into that more and more.
How is it? Cause I'm
Um,
hearing some people are saying it's nice, some people are saying it's bad.
I do love it, and but I also, funny enough, as someone who like points off for it, but
You
but
cut
the
you cut off. Can you repeat that?
yeah, no, I was saying I definitely get the funny complaint about the too much dialogue thing.
Really?
Yeah,
Since
even though I'm a huge person about story and dialogue and stuff like that, so I don't mind it. It's fine. But there are instances where they like constantly bring you in and out of dialogue, like you're into a scene and then you come back out and then you go into another scene just to go into a huge line of dialogue. Then you come back out and then you go into another huge line of dialogue. Then you come back out and one more line of dialogue, and then you fight. Like, so sometimes the amount of dialogue that takes place in between the fighting is massive because it's multiple scenes that could take place in between depending on how you click on them and whatnot. Some of them it's not so bad, but certain instances it's like I was like, dang, I haven't fought in like 35, 40 minutes just listening to like dialogue. So yeah, I could definitely get how it seems like the pacing is getting better as I play. Um, and I'm starting to understand a lot of different things about the systems in play. But I still love the game. Like, too much dialogue is not a thing for me. I'm just saying I definitely had instances where in between certain fights early on, like I got to fight like once or twice, and then I felt like I was waiting like 40 minutes before I was in another fight.
wait, what?
Yeah, it was a huge section of dialogue for like a minute. Like it took forever because
40.
yeah, I mean, I'd have to go back and measure it when I do like my other playthrough, but it was a long time.
Wow, that's yeah, no, that's too much.
Yeah, it was a huge gap.
Yeah, then I understand the complaint. Sub Cyber Dragon, how you doing, dude? Um, Weep, how you been? What you been up to?
Seb, it's the Weep Sheriff, aka Infinite Rhizome, or Blue Rhizome on YouTube. Yeah, I've been playing Voice of Cards 2 or 0, whatever you want to call it, The Forsaken Maiden, and yeah, still enjoying it. Um, it's a nice change of pace after Horizon. It's pretty straightforward JRPG, yeah, with cards, but it's basically just a turn-based RPG. And if you play the first one, you know what to expect. Uh, Change things up a bit with believe it or not, stealth sequences and some yeah, sort of more strategic battles, but overall it's pretty much the same thing. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. So I'm hoping to wrap it up this weekend and then jump on to the next thing because
How's the story?
story's great. It's yeah, as you expect, pretty dark, and it sort of
Nice.
cut between you're going to different islands in this version of the game, and each sort of has its own sort of there's an overall story, but there's also new characters you meet in every island that have their own story. So you have like a rotating squad or a class of characters that join your party, within that chapter, and then leave for the next one. So that adds an interesting dynamic to the game.
Mm,
So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I highly recommend it if you're into turn-based JRPGs, or if you like Yoko Taro's work. And there's a lot of references to Nier and Nier Automata. If you like buy the extended edition, you get like customizable avatars and card backgrounds and stuff like that.
mm.
Um, so yeah.
Gotcha. And oh, look, we have the wreck here. How you doing, dude? He is
How about
muted.
you?
Oh, he's alive.
That's good, man.
Hey, man, long time no being here. What you been up to? What you been playing?
Uh, been playing Horizon Forbidden West.
Okay.
Yeah, I just got the rebreather. Um, I'm just playing, having fun with the game. I just took some points off for it. My negative. I do have negative of this game now. Um, it was a glitch that, some odd reason, it was not acting like it was like acting like I can't explain it because I don't have the video for it, but it was it was points deductible for that. Um, Other than that, it didn't mess up my experience. So I'm still having a great time with the game or whatever. And so uh, I'm having fun with it, man. Having fun. So I've been
Got,
working, so I haven't been really playing any other game. That's about it, man.
gotcha. And
Hmm.
finally, but not least, so far, Ghost in the Shell. How you doing? What you been up to?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Just finally got back. I've been in Poland for the last couple of days, so uh, I just got home yesterday or yesterday morning, and I ain't really played too much of nothing since last week. But I'm gonna get into some Gran Turismo and and yeah, just race my ass off tonight. That's what
You
I'm gonna do.
so you actually locked in because when you was at work, Gran Turismo was server were down, so you didn't miss too much with that one,
Well,
right?
I'd heard about it, and so I have my thoughts and
Yeah,
I'll wait till you talk about the topics. But like, I know I didn't experience the downturn. So, like I said, I just got back stateside and looking forward to getting back into it.
yeah, you locked in very well. As for me, I can't thank I can't thank the person I'm game sharing with enough. Right now, I'm playing what's called Scarlet Nexus, and I'm just loving the game. The combat, the music. I didn't want to move an inch just because I'm listening to the music, and it's fire. It's fire, fire, fire. And the voice acting, the story, it's all top notch. And to top it off, it got DLC. I'm definitely gonna get the DLC. Um, Other than that, yeah, I have a few gripe with the game, mostly because like um, they could have made it better instead of making it just a side quest. They could have integrated upgrade system within, which basically is Sublink. So yeah, to cut it short, I'm loving that game. I can't stress this enough. Get this game. Shout out to Persona, shout out to Barry for telling me beforehand to get it. My gripe with it still stands that when you're in combat and there is a dialogue, if you're playing it in Japanese dub, you're gonna need to focus on what's being uh, uh, stated via text while at the same time evading enemies. If you kill enemies too fast, you're gonna miss out on dialogue. That's my only complaint with this game. Other than that, yeah, no, I'm loving this game. And to the people that literally skip cutscenes with this game, I can't get my hand around that, how you guys played it. As being said, let's jump into the first topic, which is going to be the disaster that is Gran Turismo 7. And hey, take it away.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, obviously, there's a lot going on with Gran Turismo. Um, I mean, the elephant in the room, the downtime. Personally, that didn't really affect me because I wasn't playing it during that time frame. I was busy doing 15 other things and playing other games. But for the people who really wanted to play at that time, I definitely get that. And it brings home a clear statement to the problem with always online DRM, especially affecting single player components of the game. I don't really need to say much beyond that. That's pretty simple. Um, the real thing, to talk about for me is the playing of the game, and some of the adjustments that were made to credits earned, um, and things of that nature that were going on with the game. Mainly due to the tune of the fact that a lot of the cars in the game are very expensive, and the uh, the cut of some of these things were obviously designed specifically to stop people from playing specific races to earn X amount of money, which to me seems like a large oversight in an understanding of the way Gran Turismo has been played for years. Uh, to be honest, like I actually don't understand what Kaz was, what he was even going on about. He's stating that the cuts are, it's going to be okay. Like it's going to be fine because there's going to be some future content that's going to just make it all right. And it's going to be great. And he doesn't want people to farm races to make money. And I'm like, I think that's a major disconnect between whatever he thinks is happening in Gran Turismo versus what people do in Gran Turismo, because farming races is something I did all the time in Gran Turismo. I'd farm like the high speed ring or something so I can earn like 150K or whatever in 5 minutes or whatever races it used to be. Um, so I definitely think he might need a reality check on that. And I mean, even if that, like I said, my biggest gripe about it on top of that is that even if that's the case, that later on they are going to make some sort of adjustments where it is going to make it better and make it understandable. And there's going to be other ways to earn money that is not so stress induced. Um, right now, those changes are not implemented. And him not being able to elaborate on them, to me, tells me then you shouldn't have made those changes. So you're going to create these nerfs or these changes, which are meant to go with something else later. That's like, it's like if you've for lack of better terminology, in related to car stuff, um, one of the most embarrassing things you'll ever see. If you've ever seen a vehicle with a wide body kit on it that doesn't have its wheels adjusted for the wide body kit, it looks ridiculous. It looks like the car has itty bitty wheels and they're way too far in, and it looks ridiculous. But wide body cars are amazing and they look great, but you have to, like, if you did one thing without the other, it doesn't work. And that's basically what they did. They he freaked out. They made like emergency cuts unnecessarily to the races because I just don't know. Like there's no real logic behind it, and um this is not to say that the game doesn't have an initial really great part to it. The cafe portion where you play through, you're going to earn, upwards of about 70 vehicles. A lot of them really great. A lot of them you would really want to own. So that prevents you from needing to spend a ton of money to earn a lot of these really great vehicles. So there is that. That part is curated and done very, very well. And if he wanted you to experience that all the way to 500 cars in the game, then they should have designed it that way, but they didn't. So, yes, there are other instances
Is
and
it
other things that you can do.
is
Go
it
ahead.
is it right or wrong that you're not allowed to sell cars?
I haven't had to sell a car yet, so I don't. To be honest, I couldn't tell you.
Because in my
I'm
opinion,
pretty.
if
I'm
you
pretty
got
sure.
something, you should be able to sell it. That's how I feel.
I mean, I could turn it on and double check that. I hadn't seen that, but I actually
You're not
didn't need to
allowed to
sell
sell
one
cars.
yet.
That's why I'm asking, because that's also another way to prevent you from earning money.
Yeah, so
Like,
that's ridiculous because you've always
yeah,
been able to sell cars. So yeah, so that's another thing that is ridiculous. Personally, I like, but that's what I'm saying. Like in the tune of how I've played so far, I hadn't had a lot of doubled up vehicles or anything, so I didn't really need to. And the one that I got was I won it. So what I was going to do was just tune it differently than the other version of the car that I had. So I just haven't come into an instance where I haven't needed to sell it. But yeah, that's again another instance of where they are nerfing your ability to earn money, which is again ridiculous. Like I want to understand where the creator is coming from,
agreed,
but the
agreed.
fact that he can't even begin to explain it right now is a frustration for me as someone who's been a longtime fan of the series. Um, so I mean that alone should tell you a lot, and like I can't even begin to explain to people who are new to the series what's going on because he can't even explain it currently. That in his words, he said he literally can't tell us right now, which to me is unacceptable. Like I said, if the changes were meant to be implemented later, then don't make the cuts until later when those implementations are in, when you can explain it and all those things are in place. Like that just doesn't. That's like your rent going up on your apartment, and they're like, oh, later on your apartment's going to look amazing. We're going to renovate. It's going to be amazing. But right now, for the next year, before we do that, we're going to double your rent. Like that makes no sense. Like, okay, but my apartment's still exactly the same. Oh, I know, but it's going to be amazing in a year.
Wait,
Like,
yeah, I feel with everything you've said, but and you are coming from at it as a fan. So
yeah.
imagine as a people that are not a fan of the series, what's gonna think of it. Anything else you wanna add for that?
No, I mean that's pretty much the gist of what's going on. Everything else that was in the update was general fixes, bug fixes, and stuff like that. Not much was all good. Um, you know,
So
um, and we
they
spoke about the
got an
DRM.
amazing game. They just have a very bad fundamental about it.
Exactly. Yeah, like I know it this is the problem sometimes with creator versus the reality of their game. Sometimes they're like, "Oh, I want everybody to do it this way," or something, and I'm like, "Look, man, you gotta." It's a very welcoming initial version of the game, which is a lot of what you see in the high reviews, including Gaming Bolt, which I watched. And most people played about enough time to play through what they call the cafe portion, which is basically what I've played so far. Which, like I said, is super generous. It's super welcoming to new people, original fans, the whole 9 yards. It really gets you started off in the right way. But then all the other things that you may or may not want to do, it's like they introduced a bunch of small events and like little itty bitty things and like here, race to the beat on this thing, and you might do 5 of these and you might win a car and stuff like that. Like they want you to do, it seems like he wants to encourage you to do everything, but I'm like, you don't want to force people. And that's where I think there's a disconnect between him and the people playing the game. He's like,
Hmm.
why don't you go do these 30 other activities in the game? And I'm like, personally, I don't want to do that because that is not Gran Turismo to me. I'll do those when I feel like it, but I shouldn't have to go do those.
So
If I
basic.
just want to race and earn money, I should be able to do that.
So basically, this is literally a mobile game. What comes down to. That's how I feel.
Well, like I said, I don't even think it's the mobile thing. I think that
No,
he
I'm
is
talking. I'm
there's
not
a
talking about the game and how
Mhm.
it drives, how it races, or the fundamental. This literally feels as life service at its finest.
Oh
There
yeah,
is.
I think the reason it's coming to that though is because of the disconnect between what he thinks people should be doing when they're playing the game versus what people rather than letting people play the game how they want
So
beyond the cafe mode.
how can
Is I
we?
think where his frustration is coming in.
How can he have such a disconnect when this is literally part 7 of the series? What changed?
Well, when you play it, right? So all these other new little things that I'm referring to are like new. They weren't really a thing in other Gran Turismos. And as far as I know, they weren't in sport either. So they added a bunch of little small challenges. Like one is like you race to like the beat or something, and as long as you make the checkpoints to the beat, you win, right? And there's like a gold, a silver, a bronze, whatever, and you can win cars and that stuff. That stuff is not easy. I'm very good at the game, and I'm here to tell you that's not easy. Um, and then there's other little time trial things you can do, and there's a ton of little small things you can do, but they're not particularly for earning money. But if you do four or five of them and you do well, then you may win a car. Like that's what's happening with that kind of stuff. But you don't also, like I said, you don't know what the car is, so you don't know what you're spending all that time even trying to earn. But if you want a specific vehicle that you want to earn the money for, a lot of the vehicles are priced astronomically, um, even in proportion to what he's talking about, like real world prices. Like I'm sorry, no one's paying $400,000 for a Nissan GTR 34. I'm sorry. I love that car. I know that car's value is high as ever living greatness right now, but no one's paying that. So like him also reflecting saying he wants cars to reflect real world prices in the game is also I don't know if he has an actual understanding or if he's even the one looking at the prices, but a lot of the prices in the game actually don't reflect real world prices. A lot of them are actually more expensive than their real world counterparts. So that's not even adding up. So that's why I said there's like this weird disconnect between what he's saying, what he wants, and basically how people generally play Gran Turismo. Because I don't know if he's ever seen the statistics for Gran Turismo, but I can tell you as someone that has played Gran Turismo from GT1 to GT5 that I farmed races all the time to earn money to buy new cars. So if he thinks that's not a thing, or it shouldn't need to be a thing, then he needs to drastically, and I mean quickly, explain why and how they're going to rectify that. And if it's months from now, then they need to revert the changes or whatever they did prior, in order to get that fixed. That's
So
it's inexcusable to make the changes prior to that.
are you expecting a 180 then?
I don't think I expect a 180. I think they are going to just be forced to look at the economy. I think as other games come out and people start playing other stuff, I think there's going to be a severe drop off because of the the people who are not going to go for that. I mean, I know already there are people that have found other races and other things to do, but if ultimately every time we find a race that is decent at getting you X amount of money, and they nerf it constantly, then I'm gonna be honest, this is the biggest problem with live service games, especially things like as someone who played MMOs for several years, the nerf what we call the nerf bat when companies just come in and anything players like that help make the game easier to play or whatnot, they just come in and they would nerf it.
Oh,
You know,
they literally just did that with elden, which we're gonna talk about that.
Well, exactly, and that's another thing. That's one of the big things I don't like about a lot of these games, even the ones that are not technically live service, is that when these companies have immediate or ease of access to a lot of the game, they just start making changes that are technically unnecessary. And but funny enough, one of our favorite games of all time, specifically me and you, in here, and Kay, but she's not in here. It being Borderlands. One of the things I loved about Borderlands is that almost every single time there's been an issue with the amount of damage or how much like how fast people have killed stuff in the game because something was crazy. They have found either creative ways to do it or just buff everything across the board and go crazy. Like they've never really wanted to weaken anybody, and they made a mistake at one point where they slightly did that with Borderlands 3, and the drop off was massive. Everybody stopped playing the game.
Yeah,
It
because
was it
the
was
fun
insane.
part is being broken. That's the fun part of the game. To be fair with Borderlands also, um, if you're aware, Borderland 2 had a skill tree for a skill point for Maya called Cloud Kill. Uh, when the game was first released, this skill was busted in the sense of it didn't do anything. After they fixed it, it became way too overpowered. And they kept it overpowered. They didn't change that. It's like they understood you wanna be overpowered in your game, and later you can't rely alone on cloud kill because enemies are you got enemies that are immune and stuff like that. So they found a way to balance it, but not by nerfing shit. And to me, it's like this literally feels like how Halo did it with Halo Infinite. Basically, they punched you for playing more games. The first game you're earning 200 XP. Second game you're earning 80 XP. Third game you're earning 50 XP. And fourth game you're earning 20. And the fifth game you're earning 0. That's basically how it was with Halo Infinite. And this is how it feels with Gran Turismo now. And I'm actually, I'm glad this is uh, flopping. Not for you guys, especially the ones that paid collector edition and you name it. Um, my fear is for PlayStation to follow what the industry is doing, and they kind of doing, and they're taking an L on this one, and especially with the report that they want 10 live service games are planned. Like, if you can't do this one correct, how am I gonna trust you with 10 live service? You can't even do one correct, let alone 10. With that being said, I'm gonna actually go to a non GT player just to see his or her perspective, and that's Weeb. How do you feel about this one? Where PlayStation is heading? Are you a fan of it? 10 live service games are planned, and this is the first one, and they can't even do it right.
What do you think? Of
Sorry?
course I'm not. What do you think? Of course
Hey,
I'm not.
you tell me. You are on the house. Go ahead. Shoot your
I'm
shot.
not. Okay. Well, look, I'm not as you said, a GT fan, so it's not affected me personally. But yeah, I mean, it's a bad showing of Sony, and it's a perfect example why we don't need live service games and like why we don't need always online DRM. Uh, they're gonna fuck it up, and this just
Preach.
shows, yeah, it just shows that if they can't fuck it up, they will fuck it up. And I think it's sort of the Murphy's law of gaming. Um, so I hope that this also is a sign to them, like that probably will try it again, but maybe trying to be positive, they might see, okay, look, we need to do better. We need to stop with the bullshit, or at least for a while, because yeah, now we get a lot of bad press. But you know, the pessimistic or realistic side of me will probably say, okay, this won't be the last one. I mean, they already announced more live service games, of course,
Yeah, they
and none
announced
of them,
10.
yeah, and they all will be either greedy as fuck when they launch, or will become greedy as fuck as they go along. So yeah, I mean, I have no hope for those games. I'm not interested in them, and I hope they stay away from the single player experiences that I've come to love from Sony. Um, because otherwise, I'm just going to ignore them and just stick with the games that at least try to yeah, be not greedy or not greedy as fuck. So
I, f-
the,
I
those are
feel
my
you.
2 cents.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that those are my 2 cents.
Yeah, I feel you with everything you just said. Now I'm gonna go to an actual racing fan. Ghost. How do you feel about this one?
kind of want to put it on that. Like, oh, you know, I'm not a fan of like the DRM or the always online, but I understand why they wanted to do this because this is an online because this has an online component to it because it has almost real life real world implications because this is a Olympic sport a because this there is such a huge I won't say cult following but a very close knit Gran Turismo, I guess, society of racers. There's the big, you know, sports racing channels that promote this type of stuff. So I get that because they do want to cut down on the cheating. Now, when you say that it's greedy as fuck now, and as someone that owns supercars, they are expensive, and I'm going to agree with in the fact that he needs to find that balance between the I guess the real world money factor of these cars. Um, but I'm also when I do some online races, and so when I jump in and everyone has the best car because they've exploited this glitch or this or exploited this farm where they can just get unlimited amounts of money so they can buy the best cars in the game. And so if I have to then go buy credits, which I won't do, or what do I do? So I'm kind of in maybe I'm in the bad crowd or I'm in the wrong crowd, the wrong side of this because I'm like, all right, cool, maybe take this exploit or this farming tool away from people so that people have to actually, what I'm saying, complete the game or do the races or put in the time, put in the effort to earn the money. That's what I'm doing, like you know what I'm saying, and I could go buy all the credits that I wanted and buy all the best cars. Where that's not really the I guess the mantra of Gran Turismo. Like you aren't supposed to race, you aren't supposed to earn the money, you are supposed to put in the time, know the tracks, know the differences, learn the vehicles. And I think some of the disconnect is from my man is the fact that in today's society we want immediate gratification, right? We want the best right now as quick as possible. And so there is a lot of people that are upset that this is nerfed or this is they're I guess you're being punished or whatever because you're not getting it right now. You're not getting that instant gratification. So me personally, I'm fine with that because I planned on racing and racing until I earn, however many credits it takes to buy whatever I wanted to buy. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to go the route of paying. I've already paid 70, $80 for the game. I'm not going to give them any more money. You know what I'm saying? For to buy credits. But I am going to put in the time and the effort to earn those credits, to learn the track, to know the vehicles, to tune the vehicles, to get my racing expertise up so where I can play those online matches with the requisite cars instead of going out and buying the credits. And so that's my take. It could be completely wrong, and I'm fine with that. But I'm on the other end of that spectrum. Like I'm fine with that because instead of people exploiting, it doesn't. It takes for me. It would take the fun out of the game if I sat there and just farmed and exploited a glitch where I got all this unlimited fun, so then I could then turn around and buy the best car and have the fastest car in the world and didn't know how to fucking drive.
So I wanna set one thing straight. It's not an exploit. They were just racing the same race, and he just didn't
For the
like.
moment, yeah.
Yeah, he just didn't like that. But it's not an exploit. Like you still had to put in the time. You still had to race the race. That's been a thing in Gran Turismo for over a decade. So
No,
they
I
just
get that.
yeah. He wants
No,
people to do all those other little things that you would have seen in the race now because they force you to do one of those little race the music things when you first start the game. I promise you, I didn't like that, and I will probably never race that shit.
No,
Um,
I did 3 of them, like 3 of the albums, and I was like, this isn't for me.
yeah, exactly. It's not for me. And I'm like, that's cool. Like for the people it is, and the people that love that, that's cool. And like I'm down with all the options, but I want them to. One of the things I loved about it was that they were options, and I think that's the biggest key with a game like this is they need to maintain understanding that people are going to play in different ways, and that's okay. Like 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 I, companies get hell bent on trying to force and this is one thing I just don't think the creator has had a lot of experience with personally, where people are going to do whatever it is they got to do to get where they want to get in your
Hmm?
game as fast as possible. I hate to tell you, like eventually Destiny just stopped. They stopped fighting it. They stopped fighting it. They just what they did is they just started giving everybody 15 different ways to do everything. Because if you didn't, people were going to go ham and they were going to exploit the hell out of everything. And you're going to have the people who are going to hardcore raid, and they're going to raid, and they're going to go crazy, and they're going to farm, and they're going to like there's always someone who's going to go 10 times harder than everybody else because they have the time to do that. And
Right.
that's all they do, and that's all they play. Like there's people I would tell you right now, I swear to God, they cheating in Destiny 2, but they just play that much and they're that good, and they got all the best loot and they got all the stuff the day that joint dropped. I can't compete with that, but it's okay because there's 15 other things and other things for me to do to play and also keep up over time that'll get me there. And that's the thing that I think the creator currently needs to understand with a live service game is that rather than nerfing things, you just need to make sure that everything seems rewarding. So then everyone will want to do these other things. So if everything is then rewarding, then everyone will do the things that they naturally inherently want to do. And I think that'll work better for them than trying to create, I guess, like this. And this is something I say from what I've seen from playing tons of live service games, but especially MMOs, where they try to create this tunnel or this one path to where I want you to go, and that's never gonna work. People are either gonna break it till they can't break it no more, and you're gonna nerf it to the ground, and then people are not gonna find it fun anymore, or you're gonna capitulate, find a middle ground, and make everything as fun as possible in the game and focus on that aspect. And I think that is where they're struggling right now.
Gotcha. Anything else to add for that, Go?
No, man, no. Like I said, I just offer my opinion, and like I said, I'm gonna get back into it and see exactly. But for me, I guess maybe I'm a because I take my time with games and I play at my own pace and I do my own thing and I'm not too caught up in the I gotta beat it right now type of mentality. Then maybe then I can definitely see the next point. Whereas I'm just gonna play to enjoy it and all the experiences that come along with it in the excuse me the
Let
few
me
hours that I play.
let me then ask you this: you missed out on what's on the game being unplayable for 24 hours. If that was your time to play, because you don't have a lot of free time. You got the game, but you don't have the time. So if that 24 hours was your free time and you wanted to play and you couldn't play, would that not prevent you from enjoying the game anymore? How would you feel about that? Would that put you now toward buying microtransactions? Because to me, they should find a middle ground. Why is a game like Borderlands are able of doing it right on Borderlands 1, 2, and 3, and they cannot even do it right with this one? Like in Borderlands, you can play the entire game offline or online. You're not missing out on anything. The only thing you're missing out on, you can't do raid offline. That's way difficult to do. You genuinely need to team up with your buddies, unless you find an exploit. Yeah, go ahead.
I think that the players that missed out, there should be some type of compensation, like um, some of these live server games. Let's say Warframe or something like that. like you used to be compensated. If the servers are down for 24 hours, then it somehow compensate the player, whether it be in credits or a car or something like that. Now, me personally, if the game was down for whatever reason, I would have found something else to play until it came back up. Would have been disappointed, but once again, maybe I'm just a casual. That's what it is. I'm just damn casual because you know what I'm saying. Because I would have just found something else to play until that. You
You
know what I
are,
mean? And
I mean,
you
we
are.
both said that though.
I true. No, with all due respect, Gold, you are weird, not in a bad way, but in the sense of you out of all people I have expected to rage about this because of how valuable your time is. Like, if I was you, I would have genuinely been livid because I wanna play the game that I wanna play, and it's offline. Like, can't you just make the damn game offline? That's how I've been living about it. That's why I'm calling you weird, not in a disrespectful way.
I get it. I get it. I'm pragmatic in my thinking, like and plus of my life, my life circumstances and what I do for a living. If this is what's gonna make me outraged and mad, then I need to do something different. You know what I'm saying? Like I just my
So
perspective is
you're
different just
used,
because.
so you're used to disappointment, basically.
I'm saying like if this is the biggest disappointment that the servers are down, then I can live with that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
and at some point in time, and I get it. People's time is valuable, and they've spent their money. I get that aspect. But there are instances, man, where, and I'm gonna go philosophical, and I'm gonna get on my dad preach about. There's a bigger world out there, man. Especially where I just came from. Trust me, I, I'd rather deal with 24-hour live or 24-hour servers down than where I just came from. So, and like I said, my world views, especially my life views, are just different. And I think I would have been upset. Then I would have jumped right back into Destiny, or I would have jumped back into Horizon, or I would have jumped back into any of the other 300 something games that I got until the servers came back up.
Gotcha. Anyone, Ghost and Innate, anything you guys need to add for this one? Because I'm gonna go to the ladies and then cut it short because we spent
Yeah.
enough time on this one.
No, I think we all pretty much said it. And what I'm saying, like Forgetful was in the chat, what I'm saying? He was saying, why was I holding that against them? And I explained to him that like ultimately it's not holding it against them against, Borderlands. My explanation of Borderlands was a good example of what happened when you do it wrong and then do it right. So they did initially nerf stuff, even coming from a live service game, um, in the like semi live service game that Borderlands is, um, where they did make the mistake in the third version where they did do that temporary nerf and numbers dropped off dramatically, and everybody I knew that played it stopped playing it. Everyone, not someone, everyone, because they nerfed it, and then they came back, they buffed everything higher than where it was before, which is what they should have done in the first place. Um, and then they basically just rebalanced everything to be, at that fun level again. And then the game skyrocketed. It blew up. The DLC came out. People loved it. Everything was useful again. Guess what? You didn't have the problem where people were using one gun because you made 100 different things viable. And it was like now you didn't have everybody going for these two guns in the game so they could kill the boss. No, now you had 100 different variations, and you could melee something to death if you wanted to, and this other person could set shit on fire. So yeah, I'm not holding them to that. I'm saying they need to make sure they're paying attention to not make the same mistake that every other live service game goes through when they wanted to start nerfing everything to try and force the player base to play the way they want, because I promise you that shit does not work. That's what they need
Gotcha.
to be careful of. But
Gotcha.
yeah, nothing else.
Ladies, start with Kay. How are you doing? And yeah, what do you think of this topic? Are you now more worried from PlayStation, or You're keeping just a small close eye on this one.
I mean, it is a little bit worrisome because once they start putting it out there for one thing, it can potentially go to everything.
Exactly.
Just like boiling a lobster. Just slowly over time, and before you know it, it's everywhere. So yeah, it is a little concerning. And like I'm not a GT person, but it felt like they weren't very transparent on more than one thing with this game. They honestly, I think, if they say you need to be online to do this on this game, then they need to come out and say it. But of course, they every company wants to make money, so they're gonna be, every company's gonna be a little sneaky. But it would be nice if they're more transparent. And I'm definitely against DRM. So
Gotcha. Morgan, how are you doing? And what's your thoughts on this topic?
Doing pretty good. Honestly, I've never been a fan of microtransactions. The many years that I've been playing, I've never purchased a microtransaction, and I don't see that happening even with Sony's games. Um, yeah, the way they've been handling GTA 7 is just, uh,
A
I don't.
disaster, eh?
Yeah, I'm happy to see PlayStation fans, being vocal about it and not being quiet about it.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole thing with the other day when the server was down for like what 24 hours or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
like that to me is kind of inexcusable. Like, just no kind of transparent. There was no communication really of what the situation was, what was going on, why it was down, and then of course now you got the egregious microtransactions. And with the news that we got last year about how they're going to have 10 live service games or something like that, I'm just
Yep.
like, I'm just, yeah, I'm very
Huge, eh?
wary of what potentially could happen. But I'm gonna speak with my wallet. Like, if it's egregious and I don't like it, and and they're heavy on the monetization, I'm gonna skip the game. I'm not gonna support it. I'm not gonna buy it. Hopefully, PlayStation sees, the vocal players that have been online talking about this, and maybe they'll do something about it. Maybe they'll be a little more lenient with the next game, live service game that they have coming up. But yeah, I'm not a fan of what's going on currently. So
Gotcha. Um, with that being said, let's jump into the next topic, and I'm gonna have we break it down, which is Moon Studio disaster, or is it? Go ahead, Weeb.
Or is it? Um, yeah, the article that came out, I think it was from was GamesBeat or whatever they called, Jeff
Mm-hmm.
Grubb. Uh, yeah, guy blocked me on Twitter, but I still read this long ass article. But yeah, it turns out not everything is as rose colored as we thought with Moon Studios, based on the games they made. Apparently, there's a very toxic work environment there, largely caused by the two founders and directors of the studio. I think the CEO is from Austria, and the other guy, the programmer guy, is from Israel. And they have seems a very virtual work environment where their teams are based around the world. It's not like they have a real physical office, and they're doing basically everything online. And apparently they don't like to use video chat, so they mostly just use a chat program to communicate with each other. And yeah, it gets really raunchy, and really people get verbally accosted in there. Apparently that's because they don't want to be a corporate environment, and everybody has to be open and very direct. But they're pushing it. They're getting a bit too direct, so people get verbally accosted, get criticized publicly, within the company, where everybody can see it. They never get praise. They don't really get clear directions. There's a lot of racism, homophobia, sexism going on around. A lot of women quit the company because of it. A lot of people felt, emotionally drained or damaged because of it. Some say, like, I felt myself becoming a worse person. They have a complete lack of professionalism, at least from the top, where they don't give you any directions. They just tell you your work is shit, and they don't tell you what you have to do. They don't use documentation for some reason, so you just have to guess what they want you to do. Their management is very intrusive, in the sense that they when they say they want to change something, you have to change it. Apparently, that's also the reason why the Ori games had such a hard time meeting deadlines and staying within budget, because they decided, like, 4 months before release, that they wanted to change something, and suddenly the game is only 40% finished. And apparently they don't understand any of it. And Microsoft allegedly didn't know that, because they only talked to the both directors, so they didn't know what was going on the work floor, and they couldn't easily check that, because there wasn't really an office they could go to. At least what I see, some of these Xbox centric news channels, like Windows Central reporting, seems to imply that trying to turn it towards, okay, yeah, Microsoft has cut ties with them for the next game, that they're not publishing it. I think that's Take-Two, because of what's going on. Though it seems to me that they didn't know what was going on, so it seems a bit far fetched. I think it might either have to do with the company deciding to basically want to publish their games multiplat, or that Microsoft didn't like the pitch, because apparently their next game is going to be a complete 180 of what they've done before. It's going to be very dark, very violent, and apparently one of the directors or the CEO, I think, wants to have a rape scene in it. Which is entire development team was opposed to, and it took them a long time to convince him not to include it. And it seems to be that sort of thing happens all the time. It's a ridiculous idea, and they need to waste a lot of time to convince him otherwise. And apparently, they're both directors are constantly at each other's throat. Their meetings, if they ever have an audio meeting, is a shouting match. So a lot of people have left that company. Apparently, the entire team that worked on Ori 1 left by the time they started working on Ori 2. So there was no talent retained. So they had to basically start all over. And there's some people say, like, I stay because I want to finish what I started, or Ori 1 was a good good to have on your resume. But they also that new game, it doesn't feel like that's going to be good for my resume. So a lot of people are also leaving right now because of the toxic direction of the company and what their direction they're going to go. And there's also a lot of crunch apparently, which it makes sense considering
Recurring
if
scene and system, yeah. Let me cut you off just for 1 second.
sure.
With the with the Activision deal, do you truly believe that Microsoft stopped working with them because of this, and they didn't know? Because I don't believe it for a
No,
second.
like I said, I'm not buying it, because
Yeah.
in that same article they say they didn't know what was going on. So unless they because if this article is the first report. I'm not sure if it's the first one. Let's say that it's the first one that's reporting on the situation. Yeah, then they didn't know. I mean, they already that decision to not publish their new game was made a long time ago. So I'm not buying it. It was probably because either they didn't like the pitch, or they maybe the history they had because the company was never meeting deadlines, or maybe Moon Studio indeed, as their own position is that they decide not to continue with Microsoft because they want to publish their games multiplat. And apparently, it took a lot it was very costly to convince Microsoft to release Ori on the Switch.
Yeah, and apparently Moon Studio wanted to release it on PlayStation, but Microsoft said no because of console war, right?
Well, yeah, console war or the exclusivity, right?
Sorry?
Well,
Well,
yeah, you
the competitor.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, with that being said, what is your thought on this one? Are you with Moon Studio or are you with Microsoft on this one?
There is no side to pick here. I mean, Moon Studio clearly is a very toxic place to work at. So they can go fuck themselves. And the thing is, I played Ori 1. I think it's overrated, but I still enjoy it. I was considering getting Ori 2 at some point, but now like I've lost all interest in it. This I'm not saying I'm boycotting them. I'm just saying like hearing what a shit company it is. Like I mean it's all nice, and if you play like an indie game and it's a small studio and they're just trying, they're very passionate, but if you know that they're basically two assholes on top of the company, and none of the people who were involved with the first game made the second game. Like, I mean, it lost all its charm to me, so I have no interest in.
Gotcha. Okay. I know you. I don't know if you played Ori. How do you feel about this one?
I have not played Ori. It looks really nice, and I've heard people say it's really fun. It's just not my type of game.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really played like a side scroller, like platformer like that since like the Nintendo, like since like the Game Boy, the original Game Boy. So I haven't played it. But talking about the whole Moon Studio situation, I mean it's something that plagues a lot of companies, not just in the video game industry, but in many others as well. And it's something that it should be called out so that people will see it and will force these companies to work on it to better these environments and appreciate their workers. And that's really all I have to say.
Can I elaborate? Like, so, like, I'm gonna catch all types of hell, but like, the people that like we're here, but we're just hearing about this now. Like, how long has Ori been out? Like,
It's been a long ass time.
right.
So
We're just hearing about this now.
one of the reasons, because so here's the thing. This is how should I say this? This is not okay leak, not leak, how should I explain it? What's its name? You're not a leaker if you a whistleblower. Whistleblowing is doesn't have a time or a place. What I mean by that is just because, like for example, the Activision situation have been happening for how long? Even before the situation with Ubisoft. We heard about the Ubisoft situation. We never heard about the Activision situation. Only later we started hearing about the Activision situation. And the same thing can be said, for example, with like for example, I love watching wrestling, and there was a big, big, big fallout in the wrestling industry because people were being accused of being racist, sexist, you name it, and they got destroyed for it. But was this one dude that was literally being not only a Trump supporter but only took it way too far with his believing that aliens are controlling the earth and you name it, all the crazy shit. And he said some uh, ra- very crazy stuff out there, like 9/11 never happened and stuff like that. It's something in that realm. Don't quote me on that. I forgot exactly what he said, but it was so bad that when WWE released him, another company picked him up, and then they dropped him in an instant. I'm not.
Right.
I forgot. So what I mean by that is they didn't out him when there was an outing for all the other women that's happening. It just as one day a person wake up and think I'm brave enough to call out what's happening, and he or she does it. That's why I mean there is no time or place for it.
Right.
What do you want to say, Go?
And I'm agreeing that what I'm saying. My point is, like, so when you hear these articles about people stressed out and I got emotional distress. My thing is, why were you still working there? Like, why would anyone put? Like, I'm gonna use myself. When I retired, I went and I applied for a company called Blackwater. Okay, I got the job. I was working my way, and then a whole bunch of shit happened, and they got a bunch of stuff where people civilians were killed in Afghanistan. I tendered my resignation immediately. 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 Like, it wasn't, well, I sat around and, my heart went out. Like, immediately. I didn't want to be associated with that. Immediately.
Did you know you
Like,
could find a different work easy?
and yes, because in my line of work, more is profitable. So, like, I can find work. These guys are video game developers. There's plenty of work.
Well,
Plenty of work.
goes. Can I just comment on that? Because
Go
I
ahead.
think it's first of all, it's probably because it goes way back. Uh, those are different times. I don't think necessarily the developer and soft or game developers had that much choice in the beginning as they have now. I think also this company is officially based in Austria, so Europe's gaming market is not as big as the US, so mobility is not as high there. And also, what I understand from the article is that a lot of people were essentially, kept doing that because they felt like some obligation to continue to finish the game. They didn't want to leave midway, and also that they didn't quite, because essentially nothing that's done there is technically criminal, right? Nobody was sexually assaulted, nobody was threatened, so saying no labor laws were violated, but it was a culture that sort of piled up, and eventually people had enough. But it wasn't that they immediately realized or thought, okay, yeah. I mean, is it me? Like, is there something wrong with me that I don't think is okay, or is it the company? And I can kind of understand that if you're working for a company that apparently that CEO is quite the silver tongue, right? He really managed to convince people when he's in person that this is a great place to work at. But once once that facade comes off, it turns out he's just a great asshole, uh, just like his partner apparently. And it basically is two guys who thought they couldn't create a company that wasn't a corporate environment, but they clearly have no clue how to run a company or how to manage people. So I can kind of look. I understand what you're saying, but I can also understand that it's not always that easy. There's different circumstances where you are, when you are, and how your personality works, and how like your example is a very clear cut case where you say, okay, yeah, that crosses the line. I'm out of here. this situation seems to be a bit more fuzzier in the sense that you don't immediately realize, okay, like, okay, this is a fucked up workplace, but I'm not really, they're not breaking any laws really. And those kind of situations, yeah, it's possible that people will stick around either out of some misplaced sense of obligation or because they don't really understand. Okay, is it me? Is it the company? Should I? At what point? They reach the boiling point, right? When they say, okay, yeah, enough is enough. I think now it's just coming out because probably some yeah, journalists started looking into it or why what's happened with Moon Studios, talking to some former devs, and that's why the story came out right now. I think that's just why the timing is as it is.
Do you have anything to add, God?
I can definitely understand that.
God, I
Whenever I hear,
want to say one thing. When before we started the show, you sounded very clear. Now you're absolutely not clear at all for most people. So, can you jump out and jump back in? Or did you switch your mic or something like that? Because before we started the
I
show,
was,
you sounded clear as fuck.
I was in my car and now I'm in my house, so I should be clear. Can you hear me?
Okay, now
Yeah, you
you're
sound much better
way
now.
better. Now you're way better. Go ahead.
No, I agree with Weeb right there. I mean, like, but I just think whenever you hear stuff, especially like the people from Activision that is wrong and as that whole culture and toxic and illegal and all this stuff, people have to make a choice. And I always have conflicted views when it comes to whenever you hear stuff like this because I'm like, I always I try not to ever speak on something unless I have a personal experience. And I'm just like, when I worked at that company and all the shit that went down, I'm like, shit, this is not who I want to be associated with. And so, I got the fuck out of there. Right. And so, and it might not have been as cut and dry, just like you said, maybe they are spaced in, they're all, based in Austria. I get it. But at the same token, it's just like, I struggle with that because now being in the position I'm at now, and like I said, I deal with nothing but cowboys and mercenaries, some of the roughest of the roughnecks on the planet, and we still have a code of conduct, and we still have, rules of engagement. We still have to abide by the Geneva Convention. We still have to do so many things, and if some of these out and out contractors and out bad people that work for us can follow those rules. But you mean tell me a software company? It boggles me. Like maybe it's just the casual coming out in me, but it it just blows my mind when I hear stuff like this because when we have misconduct and we have when we have instances like this that's reported or negative because we have a phenomenal HR department. You know what I mean? And we have, psychiatrists and mental evaluations that all the contractors have to go through. And we red flag everything. And granted, the two owners were some wild dudes, but you know, it always just amazed me whenever I hear stuff like this. It's like, here it is 12 years later, and I'm still dealing with the mental stress. I'm
Yeah,
just
but
like, wow.
the,
You,
just to be clear, they don't have an HR department. This is a studio with at most at the top 80 people working for it. So that's the entire problem. It's such a it uh, uh, pictures us or it presents itself as a very flat organization where there's no hierarchy, but essentially that you have two very authoritative CEOs who decide what happens and sort of create a sort of culture where people have to be afraid or at least uncomfortable. And I know, from your perspective, like, you said like we never accept that or we follow rules. But then again, you're also in a different industry, right? I mean, I wouldn't want to compare a game developer with somebody who served in the army, right? You have a very different mentality, very different work environment. So there are things that you're used to or not used to, and I can kind of understand that works differently for you than works for them.
Well, I mean, and I know what you. I was gonna say, I know what you're saying, Ghost,
I'm not
because
military. I'm private. I'm in the private sector, and so we're a corporation first. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
And
understand. The, yeah, no, I understand, but you were also saying like you work with a lot of people, private military contracts, right? But still kind of a different breed of people, right? People who
yeah,
are
to
used to
say the
follow
least.
orders and follow procedures, and then you have a company where they essentially they don't even, according to the article, they didn't even document anything. So you just had to guess, what your superior basically wanted you to do, right? I mean that's a very different. Um,
My point in that is why. Like, if I had walked into my job and they were like, "All right, dude, well, have at it." I don't know, maybe one pay period it took me to be like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like,
and
I, I you know, I mean,
So
like maybe a month, 2 months, but I'm not
no,
gonna be here for years as it takes to develop a game and then
but
wondering why
here is
who
here
the
is
but
the
fuck am
thing.
I?
apparently that this is not like unusual in this industry.
Yikes!
Yeah.
Um, I know. Okay, how do you feel about this one?
Jordy talked
Oh,
about it, I
sorry,
think.
I already did. Sorry about that. And I Morgan, how do you feel about this one?
Yeah, this situation is it's not surprising. I mean, we hear about it all the time in the gaming industry. It's really sad though. Honestly, what surprised me most is the fact that Microsoft didn't pick them up already. Like I figured after the first Ori and
I uh,
S
I was
that
extra surprised about that one. I
yeah,
truly believe they would.
I mean it was such a big success on there. It was like one of the crowning achievements. Well, not maybe achievements, but one of the crowning games of the Xbox One gen. A dark
You
gem
played
for
Ori?
Xbox. I played like the first couple hours of the Blind Forest. It was good. I didn't finish it, but it was good what I played. So yeah, I'm really surprised Xbox hasn't picked them up. Like, I mean, they had no problem buying Activision, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but yeah, this whole situation's weird. I don't. I agree with Weeb. I don't think the Xbox knew about their toxic work environment. Like I don't think they made a conscious decision not to work with Moon Studio. I feel like it's just Moon Studio decided to go multi-plat.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's very interesting. It's really sad though because they are a talented studio, and if they would just
Yeah,
get their crap together, they could be out here, leading the indie industry. But
they they are the closest that I've seen that would rival Ratchet, which is Ori.
okay,
Ori 2 is an amazing. Ori 1 is a game that exists. I don't care for it. Ori 2 is an amazing game. Fantastic
Mhm.
combat. Music, I never cared for it. I actually played the entire game on mute. And other
Wow.
than that, I beat the game. And then I saw on Twitter that people are dying for at one boss uh, uh, 180 times or something like that. I'm like, this game is not hard, so I opted to play it on the hardest difficulty, and I beat it. And I had two game-breaking glitches with that one. That soured me on giving the game a 10. But I was genuinely surprised for them not picking up Moon Studio. That
Yeah,
definitely, uh, I would have chosen Moon Studio over Double Fine. Even Ninja
same.
Theory, any day of the week, twice on Sunday.
Double Fine
Yep.
is good though.
Sorry?
Double Fine is good though.
They're good, but I would have picked Moon over Double
I would
Fine.
have picked Moon before Double Fine.
Yeah, me
Uh,
too. I
but
would.
I think that the reason why they weren't picked up is probably because Moon Studios didn't want to be picked up because then
Yeah,
they would
same.
learn how they
Could
manage their people.
nah,
Yeah, you
but
talk
to
about
be
the
fair,
personalities of those two
Ninja
leaders. I
Theory.
doubt they wanted to be picked up.
To be fair, Ninja Theory didn't want to be picked up either. But if you throw enough money, they're gonna say yes. Look what happened at Ninja Theory.
Mm, yeah.
So Yeah, this is, despite everything that I just said, we say, I truly believe they should have picked up Moon Studio. Because if you have no issue picking up Activision, then you shouldn't have an issue picking up Moon Studio. I'm just saying.
Hmm.
Anything you want to add, Morgan?
Oh no, that was it.
Nate, what's your take on this one?
Yeah. So the I don't know. I mean, I don't really.
You're tired from this whole industry
Yeah,
shit. Yeah, I feel you.
it's not even
So
the
so
industry
then
thing.
let me.
It's to agree. Hold on, it's to agree to what Kay was saying because me and Kay have talked about this 100 times outside of this stuff. It is not exclusive to the games industry, so that's one thing I never want to focus on. Because let's be real, that shit is everywhere.
Mm-hmm,
So it's not just in the one spot. Um, there's plenty of industries this shit is reported on daily, where people have issues back and forth and stuff like that. And then to enhance where Ghost was going, because there was like a disconnect between Ghost and what we were talking about, because we were specifically talking about that specific situation. But there are other situations in the gaming industry where there are people that remained at some of these studios that definitely had 400 options and still chose to keep their ass there when they were claiming they were unhappy, and they could have fucking left. And they definitely had options. So yeah, I don't want to hear them fucking crying all day
mm.
with their fucking 6-figure ass bank account. So they could fuck off.
Let me ask.
Um,
I want to
yeah.
ask you this then. Should we ignore it or should we just accept it? Because clearly talking about
I'm not
it.
saying you should ignore it.
No,
I'm
no, no.
not. You should.
I'm genuinely asking because what seems to be boys gonna always be boys, which again is stupid. Should we then replace boys with ladies then? Is it solvable? How can we solve it?
I don't think it's something you can solve. Mainly just because part of the problem, and again, this is something that me and Kay talked about. Sometimes I've talked about this with Morgan too. Sometimes some of the stuff that's being reported in some of these instances are just people just claiming to be generally uncomfortable with certain topics or things that come up in these places. Um, and then there's a lack of communication thereafter. So, like, if you're on certain teams or do certain things, like I told you, I think I even mentioned this to you. One of the instances that came up for Activision was like, oh, well, we were in the creative process for designing the story for this game, and they had a conversation about this, and I felt uncomfortable. And then that was labeled as like sexual harassment. Like that's the kind of stuff that I'm saying is like you gotta get the label correct first before you can even have the proper conversation,
Mm,
because stuff just being labeled and word slinging and just coming out as whatever you want to label it doesn't help anything.
mm,
People need to learn to speak up. People need better communication. I mean that's really the best way you can do it. But if a company also is doing something that you're genuinely just not comfortable with, eventually, like Ghost said, you just need to decide to get the fuck out. Like if you can't handle what Grand Theft Auto is about, don't work there.
I agree. I agree with that. That's a fantastic line. Before we continue, what's up, Star Stranded Ninja? What's up, Forgettable Gamer? The Forgetful Gamer. What's up, Nelson? I see you. And yeah, um, Link. We ask you. Do you want a link? What do you want to talk about? I'm still waiting. So I can drop you a link or what? Derek, how do you feel about this one?
Mm, I don't feel nothing for it. I saw. I didn't really get in too much into it because I've been working, and so
So you missed
um
the entire thing because you're way more focused. So basically, you have other things to focus on than this situation. I understand.
yeah. Hmm.
Um, okay. So Elden Ring sold 12 million. I don't want any I don't want to hear anything anymore about Metacritic. Doesn't matter. I bet you money if Elden Ring didn't have a 97 on Meta, it would have never sold 12 million. Like I challenge anyone here or otherwise to convince me that I'm wrong. I would even drop you a link just to join the conversation. I'm gonna start with you, Anais. Do you agree or disagree? Okay, then
Hold on. There you go. I didn't
oh,
realize I was muted.
are you
No,
back?
would you? I didn't understand. You said like four different things. I thought I was like, where was the question?
No, I just said I name dropped you only.
No, I heard that, but what was the question though? You
Oh,
said
the
like a
question
lot.
is Elden Ring selling 12 million is because of Metacritic. If not for
Oh,
Metacritic, Elden Ring would have never sold 12 million. Do you agree or disagree?
uh, I wouldn't say specifically it's because of Metacritic. I would say it's because of the ridiculous reviews.
That's why
Uh,
then the Metacritic at
yeah,
the
but
very
like
end.
Metacritic isn't the like that's just an aggregate site that posts all of them. It's not they're not the Metacritic. I don't think it's the Metacritic as in the median that decided that. I think it's all the ridiculously glowing reviews that were like, "Oh, this game has no faults. It's wonderful. It's the most amazing thing I've ever played. You'll never play anything better. Elden Ring reinvented the wheel. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's Breath of the Wild
It
reincarnated,
cured
done 100 times
hunger.
better." Yeah, that is why it skyrocketed. And then also the bullshit that has been peddled that it is an accessible Souls game. No, you will still plenty of times get your ass two shot.
Oh yeah,
Like, yeah. So that all these things are the main factors that got all these people to get suckered in. Um,
I love how you say it's a good game because that's all they did. The
oh, that's
amount of
exactly
people.
what happened.
I would pay money just to watch the people rage quit with this game. Because here's the thing: at the end of the day, this is a soul game. And did you see the invisible walls that you need to beat to destroy for 10,000 times before it gets destroyed? Like, that's no longer fun. That's
Yeah.
stupid. Yeah, so 12 million. PlayStation have over 100 million subscribers. Xbox have what, over 50, 80 million subscribers, something like that?
Mm-hmm.
And Steam have what, 100 million
You mean user base?
active users, around something like that. So out of 250 million, let's round it up to 300 million players, only 12 million sold. That's nothing. That's a
Now,
flop. Don't you agree?
hold. No, sir.
No. I'm just being funny, cause that's how
Okay.
they do when it comes to PlayStation games. When we say what's called Uncharted sold 20 million. Oh, that's nothing. When you have an install base of 100 million, that's like
I thought you was trying to catch all the smoke. You was
I
serious.
I have no problem catching the smoke. I don't care. Uh,
Now,
as, am I wrong?
I
Am
gotta.
I off base here with this one? I'm curious.
No, I think you're 100% correct. Like between Metacritic and between all the review sites and between I'm gonna say it, Xbox not having no games this year, and then all
Now you're what the smoke. Stop.
yeah, and all their narratives as far as I'm saying, oh, this game's better than Horizon. You got to pick it up. You know what I mean? Just because they don't have anything to play, and the PC crowd. I mean, for it to sell 12 million in 3 weeks, good job, phenomenal. Still a shitty game.
Yeah.
I got suckered. I bought it and I damn near kicked my TV off the wall. So you know what I mean? Like it is what it is. But you know, I just think that uh, I don't know. I think there's a narrative that they just that has to be something. And if you're gonna spin this topic into like media bias, but that's a whole different one. But
No,
um,
there is media bias. We clearly talk about it out. It's literally media bias. That's the definition of media bias. Like
but
this game has so many bugs. Like I literally seen Persona post out a video where the game disconnect him at the final boss fight, where he literally needed just one last hit as a boss, and he went back and got the plats. Like if that was me, I would destroy that game. Like no, fuck out of here with that shit. If this happened, like I had one bug in what's called in Horizon Forbidden West, where I was fighting a boss and I was doing well, and it's a hard boss, and he clipped through the water, and I couldn't get back to him. Like, all I did was restart the save file. In an instant, I was back where I'm at. However, in Elden Ring, I've seen a post of an Xbox person, so not a PlayStation person, which it doesn't matter what your Xbox or PlayStation, but because of the update, his or her entire character got deleted. Like, excuse fucking me? 140 hours in the game got deleted. Like the whole one save per character is so antiquated, it's so stupid. Like I'm playing Scarlet Lexus right now. You can literally save for 10-15 save file in one playthrough alone. Like this genuinely, can you imagine if you're playing a game and you have 140 hours in, and because of a save file, an update, your entire save is gone, deleted? How does that make you feel, Ghost? Go ahead.
yeah, yeah. That game would have been so quickly back in the backlog. I mean, I've been on fire to be honest. But in my personal thoughts aside, like I just wasn't impressed with the game, and I'm not saying that it's a bad game. It just wasn't a game for me, and so I felt like I got bamboozled. But I can see, I guess, especially if there's a huge following of Souls fans and people that enjoy those types of games, then more power to you. And I'm glad from software put something like that out. But the game had its issues, had its flaws. But I just think that the media did such a phenomenal job of making this game holier than thou and better than
Mm-hmm.
thou and everything, that it played a huge part in its sales. I mean, I'd love to see some of the completion ratio on this game, though.
Oh, almost
In
5% or something like that. I've seen it. It's very low compared to
so
what's called uh, standard ninja gaming. What is not a big deal? One save file, it absolutely is when you have your file save deleted. It absolutely is. Even her backup, which was in the cloud, didn't even register. And again, I'm not some noob that doesn't know about Soul game. I played Souls before even Souls was a thing. I played the original Demon Souls. I played Dark Souls 1, 2. I skipped on 3 because 2 was dog shit. And I played Sekiro. I'm at the final boss at Sekiro. I need to go back and beat it. So Ghost, yeah, you got suckered in.
that,
Um,
that, that's how I feel. I mean, now here's the thing. Like I said before, I'm a guy that just buys games because they look, the trailers impressed me, and I was like, oh, cool. And then when I actually played it, I was like, ooh, this is not for me. Like, I think I ran out there, and the tree knight whooped me, and so I took off and ran into a cave, and then some werewolf whooped me, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm done. And so I was
so
getting beat up by
basically,
everybody.
you was bad at the game. In a
Yeah,
way.
yeah, I'm bad at the game. Yeah, I needed to get good before I play that game. So it's just not one of the games for me. So, but from an aesthetic, you know, point of view, it just wasn't visually pleasing. And like I said, I got the LGs, I'm on the PS5, so I was expecting. My expectations were so high because of the hype surrounding this card. But I think I'm like Demon Souls, as hard as it is, it's still a gorgeous game to just turn on and look and be like, oh my god, this shit's amazing, right? and you might be able to suffer through some of those ass kickings because it's just wowing you with the visuals and the gameplay and the music. And that game didn't take advantage. The Elden Ring didn't take advantage of any of the dual sense features. It looked like a
Wait,
mid-gen
Elden Ring
refresh
doesn't
of
have
PS4.
any dual sense features? I thought it did.
Does it?
When he was doing an interview, apparently there was going to be dual sense feature integrated. Let me
I'll
Google it
go.
up very fast.
Yeah, go. I'll go re-download that some bitch, and I didn't feel nothing. Nothing. Has anybody else played it on the panel?
Nope. No, at least not me.
Oh, yeah, I
I'm
played
picking
Oh,
it.
it up
so
tomorrow.
apparently, just found a post. I'm wonderfully loving Elden Ring, but it's a shame. It seems like the dev completely overlooked designing adding DualSense feature to the game. Like that's an L, cause Demon Souls have an amazing DualSense feature,
It does.
and I
Yeah.
played
So I
Demon
mean,
Souls. So that's
and
an
so
that's a double L. Yeah, no, that's an L.
and then you have like the pop in and the glitches and some the stuff like that. So I guess my when I had Strick on a
Pop
podcast,
it.
We talked about this, and it was just my expectations were so high, and then I was let down because I'm a visual person first, so I base games off graphics, gameplay, or graphics, story, gameplay. You know what I'm saying? And for me, it didn't have any of those, and so I bamboozled myself, I guess.
Gotcha.
No,
Okay. You're not a Soul fan, I know, but what's your take on this? Metacritic matters or game reviews matters in general? Yes or no?
Like I haven't played a Souls game, so I can't comment on whether I even like it myself or not. I just haven't played any of them. Um, on the Metacritic thing, I mean, I feel like we've already talked about this quite a bit. But so like yeah, I mean, it got a 97 because you have all those people out there that are diehard Souls fan, and they're going to overlook a lot of things just because they're infatuated by the game, by the world, and the developer itself. And so of course it got a really high score. Um, and and a lot of people, they say that scores that do not sway them, and for I would say everyone on the panel, it doesn't, but there are a lot of people where it does. So yeah, I would agree that a high score did help out with the sales. um is it deserving of a 97? I mean, like you guys have been discussing, there's a lot of bugs, there's a lot of issues to where, yeah, like it might be, a really high score, but I don't think it's exactly deserving of a 97 if it has those many issues in it. But other than that, I really have nothing more to say on it because, like I said before, we've already talked about it quite extensively in the past podcasts.
Gotcha.
Hey, real quick.
Uh,
Hey, real quick. Hey, Omar, can I challenge you real quick
Go ahead.
to can you please go to uh Metacritic and look up Tunic's Metacritic?
Oh, we're gonna talk about that. Don't worry. We're gonna talk
Well,
about
I'm saying
Tunic.
my point being is that certain games, um, you only get 6 or 7 reviews and they're scored this super high, and so you look at a game like Elden Ring, who I'm just looking real quick how many reviewers it got. Elden Ring, Elden Ring got. Let me see. I'll go to. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry.
No, take it on.
Of course, on Xbox, it got 17 positive reviews, no negatives. But we'll just go to PS5.
Here is my thing, my issue with this one. There are clearly negative in Elden Ring. Why don't you mention them? There's bug glitches.
From software game.
Hmm?
Yeah, they have a bias for From Software games. That's obvious.
So it
I mean,
seems
they
we
literally admitted. Well, was it GameSpot or I think it was GameSpot, right? Those reviewers, they said that for Sifu they actually faulted the game for not uh, holding your hand, for not giving you directions, but they Elden Ring had the same problems, but they didn't care because it was a FromSoft game.
yeah, I saw that video. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Um. While Gold is looking it up.
There were 97. Or I'm sorry, 75 reviews sent to PlayStation, and 17 sent to Xbox. Like, why is there such a disparity between the platforms?
What do you think?
Well, I mean, I get, I mean,
We're
I
not
can,
gonna go
I,
there. It's
yeah,
stupid. We both
exactly.
know it's stupid. Morgan, are you so fast? I'm curious. I forgot.
I am not.
Okay. So, media wise, and we'll keep it moving.
I mean,
How
look,
else
listen.
can you describe it? I'm curious,
Look,
because that's
look.
how it seemed to me.
The reason it sold 12 million is it's basically word of mouth. Like people overhyping this game, calling it like, the next coming of Jesus. This is the greatest video game to ever exist in existence. It defeats all other video games. It's changed my perspective in the way gaming is. Like it's shattered the reality of open world. Like I'll never be able to go back to a normal video game ever again because this game was the greatest thing that's ever happened in my life. And I'm just like, oh my God. And that's the reason. That's the reason why it sold 12 million. Now, the question is did it retain 12 million? Because I saw just as many people talking about returning the game after getting their ass whooped for like a good hour or two. So the question is, did it stay at 12 million? Or was that like just the initial buyout and then people took it back when they realized, oh wait, this is an actual Souls game. Like this game's literally kicking my ass right now. Oh my God. Like, what? That's not what y'all said. Y'all said this was great. So, yeah, that's really all I have to say. I don't really care about this game whatsoever. I'm ready for the hype to die down. I'm ready for everybody to move on because I'm tired of hearing the words Elden Ring, and yeah, that's it.
Gotcha. And hey,
Yeah, I mean, I already spoke about it in the beginning. Remember?
yeah, but mm, you talked about it? I forgot. I genuinely did. Zaret,
Yeah, yeah, I spoke
do you have
already.
anything to add to that one?
Oh, well, like I said, I'm gonna pick it up tomorrow. But other than that, um, the game, man, I know it has its flaws or whatever, but I'm still picking it up to get my behind whipped or pwn some bosses or whatever. But we can't take away how fun it is, though. Can't take that away. So many people saying it's fun. They say they enjoyed it. One of my friends from the UK, well, he's playing the hell out of it. My friend from New York, he's playing the hell out of it. I was like, bro, I know he got his flaws and all, and it's not the perfect game. Well, man, at the end of the day, the game is still a great game. But they shouldn't overhype the stuff, passing all these bugs they had in there. They shouldn't have. They should never like look past that. They should judge it just like they judge the other games. Before that, they should judge that one too. But that's it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Weep.
Oh, I think they just talked about it, didn't they?
No, you didn't give your opinion.
Oh, all right. So about that Metacritic helped
Yeah,
sales? Of course, Metacritic helps sales. I mean that's why they tie bonuses to Metacritic score. I mean, and
which
I think
is a stupid move. Stupid move.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is. I mean you need to have a metric for. I mean we review movies too, so I I get that we need something to uh, essentially determine whether or not a game is worth buying or worth buying full price. But I think yeah, it definitely has helped. Probably also the word of mouth, as Morgan said, has helped. And probably because it's open world. Because for some reason, once you turn open world, everybody is losing their shit, right? I mean, the same with
They
Breath of the
didn't
Wild.
lose the shit with Horizon Forbidden West is more open world than Elden Ring. Let's be real.
Yeah, okay, but already was open world, right? It is a sequel, but like when you turn something that was never open world into open world, people get some they're hyping the fuck out of it, especially game journalists. Like they did that with Zelda, right? Breath of the Wild, certainly turning Zelda into an open world game. And certainly, it's the best thing ever. I mean, yeah. Personally, I mean, this is my opinion, but I prefer a linear experience, at least a more contained experience because I almost had that with Horizon as well. That at some point there was so much to do that you got a little bit fatigued, right? And that's kind of the problem with most open world games that there's just too much to do and too little focus on actually following the main path. So but again, this is just my take on open worlds, but I think that probably helped this game. But certainly the Metacritic score has pushed those sales. And I mean, good for From Software that they because I don't think their Souls games generally were like blockbuster titles or making all the money, and now they're in the big leagues, I guess. Now they can pull a CDPR and make them fuck up the next game.
Gotcha. And the final topic is oh boy, Hogwarts Legacy, Harry Potter game that is not a Harry Potter game.
I was going to
NA,
Harry.
I'm gonna start with you. Are you in? Are you out?
Day one, period. No
Day
exceptions.
zero.
Don't
Day
give a
zero.
fuck.
Period. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was a
Yep.
great show. Walk me through it. Were you excited the entire time? When did the game start to become day one for you?
Gameplay, man. I got to see the gameplay.
Yeah,
The game looks
I
good.
agree, but
RPG.
even the beginning gameplay was boring. Like how you
I mean,
gonna
I seen the all in one. So I mean, I seen the full take. I liked everything that I saw. They're passionate about the project. I can feel that difference. It's a passion project for them. You know what I'm saying? I'm all about my RPG. So I mean, I love the world in general already. So yeah, I mean, there's no reason not to be, unless something terrible happens with the game in the meantime. Yeah, there's no way I'm not in.
gotcha. Go. Are you excited for this one?
I, yeah, I'm here. I'm believe it or not, a Harry Potter fan. Um, I'm
Ooh.
I it, I'm not 100% impressed. I will get it. I got to see more. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
So, um, uh, uh, from what I saw in the showcase, it looked intriguing. Um, a little maybe slow for me. Um, so I don't know. I just gotta, and also when does it come out? You know what I'm saying? Because Forspoken's right around the corner, or not around the corner, but it's going to be in October. So when they said holiday season, what does that entail?
knowing
So
you, you're
I just
gonna
got to
get it, and either
yeah.
regret it
Well,
or have a blast with it, right?
here's the thing. I don't regret nothing that I buy. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? But I mean, because I mean, I mean, I will buy it and I will play it, or I will buy it and one of my kids will play it, or I will buy it and one of my friends will enjoy it. So
mm.
it will get its use.
Gotcha. Oh, we're off. Are we still on air? Cause my... Huh?
It's
One
still
second.
live.
Cause are we still
It's live.
live?
Yes.
Then that's just my dog shit laptop. I apologize, people. My dog shit laptop is dog shit. Oh, this is Link. Just to explain, no one is hating on Elden Ring. I was gonna play Elden Ring before playing Scarlet Nexus, but after seeing the 140 hours save file getting corrupt, and after seeing Persona final boss getting kicked out, like, nah, I'm waiting until, and especially after how they nerfed every what's called mage build that I wanted to use. Like, nah, I'm waiting until they release the game and finish it how it's supposed to be before I play it. I'm not gonna waste my time and energy on this game. I got way many two games to play. Like Cars Nexus, I'm playing. You have Ghostwire Tokyo dropping in a few days. You have Tiny Tina, me and the Quad. We're gonna do our thing. Like now, fuck that game. Make a game, make it right, and then I will play it. Like I would genuinely lose my shit if I had 140 hours in, and then that shit happened. I would absolutely be livid. Okay, are you in or are you out with Hogwarts Legacy?
Um, I'm probably gonna end up picking it up.
Did
Um,
your daughter see it or no?
no, she hasn't seen it yet. She's um, I don't think she's really seen anything Harry Potter yet.
Okay, so
But
you got a
yeah,
lot to catch up to do.
I was thinking about because like yeah, she turned 8 like in September last year. So
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
there's a
sometimes
lot of death
like
and
when you have a young child, you know, you want to find the appropriate time to introduce, you
mm-hmm.
know, certain movies, you know. Um, but yeah, she's at that age where I could start introducing her to Harry Potter. Um, but yeah, it said it doesn't come out till like later this year, probably like holiday or something like that, maybe. Um, yeah, I'll probably end up picking it up. I was actually talking to my brother about it the other night,
is he
and so yeah,
sold?
I'm probably gonna pick it up, and I'm gonna go for House Slytherin.
Okay,
Not like
so
this. Okay.
um,
Oh, please.
a very quick update.
Just like this.
Oh man.
What house are you gonna be, Morgan? What house you gonna be? Lame ass, basic ass Gryffindor?
Oh
Is that where
man,
you're?
you can't come from my house like that though. Oh jeez. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
That's all right.
So
Mhm.
Okay.
It's okay. We can duke it out on the table.
Oh man.
All right.
very
Oh,
quick update.
Nate's probably gonna go Gryffindor too, because
Damn Skippy.
mm,
I'm curious if you can choose your own. I didn't hear if you can or not. I forgot actually. If you can choose,
They're the different houses, so you can be in different ones.
so you can. Okay. Well, one thing for
How
sure.
you choose them, you don't know, is the
Yeah,
key.
one thing for sure. The Avada spell is there, and you're gonna see a lot of people use it. And that spell is gonna
even
be
if
in.
they test you on what house to be in, you can easily push it to where it to be in the house that you want to. You just gotta know how to answer the questions.
So, here's the thing. Just one second. One thing, a very quick update on the whole Moon Studio situation. This is from a lady that worked at Moon Studio. I worked at Moon Studio for 2 years. I was the only woman on the story team. I struggled to find the word to express what a soul-destroying experience it was to work with the head studio of the Thomas community. The whole studio is built on the lie that quality justified everything. Verbal abuse, crunch, public humiliation, but it just wear you down and burn you out, people do not produce quality. Anything good that you had made before they had killed your creative spark was used to lure new unwitting devs in, to fill places of the friends you watch leave one by one. Please don't be fooled. Don't perpetrate the problem by working for places like Moon. We have to stop the deficit mentality that created places. Okay. Yeah, if you are unhappy, leave. Genuinely leave. Cause she said, I'm not gonna allow any person to berate me, like that. Like, no. Fuck out of here with that shit. Especially berating and, verbal abuse? No. Is there some kind of law that's forbidden or something like that?
I don't know, and it depends on where they are, of course. But yeah,
Mm.
this is also the thing, right? Basically, those people did quit eventually. It's just that with this kind of situation, you generally, you're not going to quit day one. When you notice that they verbally accost you, or they're gonna publicly humiliate you, that kind of takes its time before you get burned out by that shit. And
Hmm.
so I can't. So it's a pretty understandable situation there. But like I said, I think for the first Ori game, everybody quit before they started working on the second one. So it just shows you that it's just a horrible place to work. And yeah, people did quit. But now we know.
Here is the thing. So, right when I'm reading this story, there's another story, which is Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga has led to extensive crunch. Um, do we need
Funny. They don't.
a game
Jesus.
crash for this to be fixed, or is this the reality we're gonna be in?
I think this is going to be fixed because now they have a severe shortage of developers, so they're going to get more power.
But when you build a game without crunch, you're gonna get games like Ratchet that has bugs, um, Horizon Forbidden West that had also bugs. It's like, how do you balance it
Okay.
out?
Every game is gonna have bugs. I mean
I
that's
never,
bullshit.
I played The Last of Us 2. I never had a single bug.
Yeah. Okay. Look, but Last of Us 2 is not an open world game. Open world games generally have bugs, and you do also have to realize that COVID happened, and that generally means that a lot of these games got developed remotely. So I can kind of understand why you see maybe in games that normally didn't have bugs, you see bugs. But I think your argument that crunch is or no crunch leads to more bugs. I mean, look at Cyberpunk. That game had a shit ton of crunch. They had mandatory crunch right before they launched the game, and that game was broken as fuck. Sorry, Nate, but the way it launched, was riddled with bugs, and especially if you're trying to play this in older generation consoles. So the argument that with crunch you get quality is bullshit.
Oh man, you ain't gotta say sorry to me. My playthrough was flawless. I can't speak for nobody else. That's all me. You
Yes,
know.
I don't know. You're either lucky or unlucky with bugs and glitches. I don't know.
I
Yeah,
mean,
but
like I said, any game is gonna somebody
yeah, but
somebody came across a bug in The Last of Us 2. No, not me, but I've
Not
seen
yeah.
them.
me. Like the only glitch I had is one of the water turned yellow or something like that. So I did a quick reload. That was literally 3 seconds or 6 seconds, and the water was normal again. That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Hey, so can
the
someone
kind
explain
of
to me
point
what?
is, huh? Go ahead.
One person
Can
at
someone
a time.
explain
What
to
did
me
you
what?
want to say, Weeb?
No, I
Oh
just I
yeah,
just want
what?
to say, because I think Nate, you played on PC, so
I did.
yeah. So you had the least chance of having a shitty experience because you played at the place it was designed for. But I mean,
Agreed.
I played. I played it on PS5, and I initially I had that that every hour it crashed, hard crash. That was just apparently a feature. So and I had plenty of bugs. It was still playable, but plenty of bugs. And I mean, I still didn't have the shittiest version because obviously that was the last gen consoles. But again, the point is, crunch doesn't determine whether a game is going to be good or not. It just determines how soon it will be released. Because if you crunch, you can probably meet a deadline. It still doesn't change the fact that the game probably will be riddled with bugs because you're not going to do your best work when you have to you know work yourself, work weekends, work ridiculous overtime. It's not an effective tool, and that's something that I mean we should get rid of that idea that I mean it's a fun meme, right? Crunch, no crunch. It just doesn't hold true in reality because there are plenty of games that had crunch that are shitty, and plenty of games that didn't have crunch that are good. So, given the choice, I would say let people work normal work hours, be happy, stay within the company, keep that experience, and make sure the next game is better than the previous game, and not riddled with bugs because they didn't have the lead developers that were part of the development team of the first game and left because they had families, wanted to have normal working times, etc.
Gotcha. Sorry to get back to this one because this update is
That's
very
great.
interesting. Anyone else want to ask anything about this one?
Ghost was asking something.
Yeah, like someone like maybe I'm not very bright or something like that, but like explain to me what like what crunch it all entails. Like I get it's overtime, but like every
That's the thing. They
business.
never specify what is crunch. They just say it's
Correct.
crunch.
The crunch is the crunch period, as I generally call it. It basically yeah, okay, not nowadays we see a lot of games that don't have crunch, but generally when you're about to hit that deadline and the game needs to be released, they're gonna start crunch. And generally, like with I think the Cyberpunk, they actually had several crunch periods because they need to hit internal deadlines, and that's generally mandatory periods where you have to work overtime. You're not given the option. Sometimes you don't even have the weekends off. You just have to continue working. And
But are you
very
getting
often,
paid or
hmm?
are you getting paid work time?
Well, that's also the question. I think with Moon Studios, they actually said they weren't getting paid. So
Mm. Is that
Yeah, like
legal?
Yeah, yeah, non-paid
the reason
OT.
I asked
Hell
that
no.
question, the reason I asked that question because like
That doesn't feel
in
legal.
every
That doesn't seem legal to me. Am I wrong with this one?
it
I think
depends on which country. I think they also hired a lot of developers from I think from Poland, for example, and labor laws there are not as strict as they are in other European countries.
Okay. Ghost, you wanted to say anything? Or Annette, who
yeah,
wanted to
because
say?
like in almost every industry there's mandatory overtime, especially if you work in a a time sensitive what I'm saying environment. I mean I get it. No one wants to be away from their family, and you have to work that that delicate work life balance. But like if you have deadlines, I, I just it always amazes me when people sit there and there's crunch and even in my line of work, when we have set dates to extract or do whatever we are doing, there's a certain element that we guys, you're gonna have to do some things that you ain't gonna have to that you ain't like. You're gonna be I gotta extend your 6 month contract to 7 months, and you're gonna have to put in work. I mean, and I just it always is it I don't know. I've never worked in the manufacturing industry. I've never worked in the automotive industry when there's mandatory overtime. But even then, at least here in the states, you're compensated for it. It's usually time and a half or something like that. And I don't know if it's different if you're a salary employee, you know, but
But that
I don't.
that that's kind of the problem. It's a different industry. not always you're getting compensated for it, so that's already obviously a problem. It's generally they're not in jobs where this is like their job requirement that they have to make. That they're generally not told upfront about this, and it's often completely unnecessary because it's caused by unrealistic deadlines or because you have like in Moon Studios example have CEOs who want to change everything 4 months before the game releases, and that suddenly then people have to start working overtime because the CEO had a brain fart, right? I mean, if you're working in like, even in software development, of course you can have overtime or mandatory overtime, but generally, you work with schedules, right? That people have to work overtime because you have to be available after hours because you have an important customer that you have to migrate, whatever, right? Kind of thing. That's all part of the job, sure, but you make agreements about that, and here it's not used. It's not like okay, you have to on a regular basis work overtime because of the services you provide, but just because you work on a project is completely mismanaged or they have real unrealistic deadlines, and certainly from starting tomorrow they tell you no now you have to basically sleep in the office for the next 2 months until the game comes out without any notice, and that's I think a very and probably you don't get compensated for. So that's a very different situation than getting properly compensated for it and knowing what you signed up for.
Right.
Gotcha. Anyone else have anything to add to this? Then I'm gonna go to you, Weeb, with the Hogwarts Legacy. Tell us why you're not getting the game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not getting the game. I mean, I'm not a Harry Potter fan, so that doesn't, that obviously makes me less interested in the game. And I also have some, objections to the author of the Harry Potter books, J.K. Rowling, who's a notorious transphobe, and she's doing a lot of harm with her influence she has, and I don't want to financially support her because obviously she gets royalties from anything that's sold with the Harry Potter brand on it, and also don't want to contribute to her staying relevant, right? Staying in the discourse, even if she hasn't is not involved within the game. I mean, uh, she's still tied to the Harry Potter IP. And I'm not judging anybody who wants to buy the game and is going to enjoy it. I hope that is going to be good. Um, from what I've seen, it does look good, but I think Avalanche Studios has a bit of a iffy reputation sometimes. So I do hope that they are sticking to what they're promising. But I just for me it doesn't feel right because I really am. I think it's really important to support marginalized people, especially trans people, LGBT people, and of course ethnic minorities as well. But yeah, I just can't bring myself to enjoy this game knowing who's behind this. And again, I'm not judging anybody who wants to enjoy it. More power to you. This is just my personal opinion, personal view, and I don't need anybody convince me that I should buy it or that do it for the devs. I mean, devs are already getting paid. It's published by one of the biggest companies in the world, so I don't think they have to worry about losing any money for me or for a few people not buying it. Game's probably going to be a massive success, so I'm not making any, I'm not deluding myself thinking that I'm going to put a dent in their bottom line. But for me personally, I just I don't want them in any way think that I'm contributing uh, to her either financially or by keeping her in the spotlight. So that's just why I'm not going to buy this game.
I mean, that's commendable. Like, stay true to your convictions. Like, don't you don't gotta explain any of that. You know, like, stay true to your convictions. That's a damn good job.
Yeah, Weeb, I just want to say I respect your stance and your decision. And you haven't, and you won't hear me try to argue you about it or try to, help you circumvent it, because you said what you said, and what you believe, and I respect that.
Thanks, Gay and Ghost. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, I'm not gonna buy it, Omar.
Gotcha. Zaref, are you getting it?
Nah, I don't care for Harry Potter. Never did. And
Did you
so
watch the
I'm not good.
gameplay?
I've seen a little bit of it. Well, I just put it like this: it's look like it'll be a good game, but I still won't buy it.
Gotcha.
It's just how I feel about it.
Gotcha. Let me
You buy
see.
that new trash Elden Ring.
We got
I
we
sure
got
will.
N8,
I
we
sure
got
will buy
Scope.
that trash Halloween, and I'm a platinum it too.
I just had to give you some shit, right?
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Um, just to make sure I didn't forget anyone. Morgan, did we ask you or no?
You didn't, but
Okay,
I am
so
getting it. Day one. I'm a very big Harry Potter fan.
you
Um,
are?
yeah,
Okay, so you're
and
getting it.
a game. The IP being RPG, open world. We get to explore outside of Hogwarts. Yeah, I'm all about being a wizard. I'm ready. That's a day one for me. Gameplay looks great. So
Gotcha. So at the very end, I'm getting it. I love Harry Potter. The book I read. That's what kept me sane during my 3 hours ride to school. Um, Here's the thing. Just to make it clear, everyone here disagrees with J.K. Rowling. I'm pretty sure we all disagree. If anyone here agree with that statement, feel free to talk about it. If you don't, up to you. So, so at the very end, just because we disagree with the statement doesn't mean we can't enjoy the game. And I'm not coming at you, I'm coming at the people that are saying that if you support the game, then you support their comment. That's what I'm focusing at. The whole notion that one person, which is the creator, but this game is not even called Harry Potter because they wanted to distance themselves as much as possible away from her. She is not involved in the game. She is not involved in the development. The only thing she does is she is getting royalty from the IP that she owns. That's it. And if that was a thing for me to stop supporting a dev, I'm supporting a game, a franchise I love, especially getting finally a good Harry Potter game. We have not had one for since one long time. I'm definitely
I hope
getting, yeah.
you hope it's gonna be good.
No, so no microtransaction confirmed, no loot boxes confirmed, and it's an offline game. Hey, I'm sold.
Yeah, yeah. Look, just to, again, be clear, I agree with you that nobody should guilt trip you into buying it. The only thing that I see, at least that's what I see on my timeline Twitter. Most people who have objections to it are just objecting to people who are trying to come at them, saying, think of the devs or uh, that she does like she has no involvement, but in the end, she still financially benefits from it, and her name is still tied to the IP, even if she's not working on the game. So it's just the excuses that some people are trying to use to counter criticism. That's kind of the issue that a lot of people have. I think very few people actually are telling, at least from what I've seen, saying you shouldn't buy the game, or you're supporting her point of view if you buy the game. They're just saying, if you let's say, if and even if you have, let's say, conscientious objections, like, okay, you don't want to support her financially, like you suggested, buy it secondhand, and then she doesn't get any royalty, so you can circumvent it that way. So again, I have no issue, and I don't think most people have any issues with people buying the game or thinking in some way that's endorsing her point of view. But it's just some of the counter arguments are used, like, think of the
So
devs, right? That kind of thing.
Here's so let me push back on that one comment. I thought about it, and remember, people will fly, or people can fly. The developer behind Outrider, they begged people to buy their game. They almost quote unquote begged them to don't cancel your subscription. We
Wh-
know it's in Game Pass. Don't cancel your. They needed the money. Like
which game are you talking about?
Outriders. Look it up.
Okay. Okay.
Outriders. So the story with Outriders is as follows. Square Enix fund publishing the game. Um, Almost a month before release, the game is announced to be in Game Pass. I'm pretty sure Microsoft went behind the developers to Square Enix and asked for it to be in Game Pass. And Square Enix looked at the numbers, they were not well, and they agreed. And what happened is, people will fly, they came out, the official Twitter account of People Will Fly came out, and not per se begging in the word we beg you, but more like in the sense of, we know the game is in Game Pass, but we not in the sense of urge you, but more like we hope that you would give us a chance. I'm paraphrasing it, but basically it came over as them begging not to rely on Game Pass. I'm buying it because developers need that money. And so the whole notion that people are hiding behind supporting the dev. No, people want to actually support the dev and or are fan of the game. You
Uh,
can do
I,
both.
I will. I think we have to agree to disagree there, because I think it's a bullshit argument. I'm sorry, if you just say you don't have to justify yourself with supporting the dev. If you wanna play the game, buy the game, just buy it, but don't hide against any excuses. That's bullshit. And I think this I don't know. I think they're part of the Avalanche is part of Warner Brothers, right? They're not an independent studio that just happened to be published by Warner Brothers, so they have nothing to worry about. They don't have to back. They're already getting paid. So I think it's a very different situation. Plus, it's a very well-known IP compared to a new IP. So I don't think the situation compares to the example you're giving right now.
No, Nagari. Zachary, anyone have anything to add to this conversation? Nope. Then we call it here. Oh, on final note, and this is a good topic for you, Ghost. Uh, Grand Theft Auto 6 or 5 or which part? 5? 5 performed
Right.
better on PlayStation over the Xbox. There goes that 13 thief, 13 12 thief blah 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 blah. 8 monsters for breakfast. This was a great show. I apologize for this whole time situation. I need to work out a specific time that works best for every one of us. The time shift is an issue for me because most of I'm asleep or taking my medicine, so I need to discuss it with the team and see which time works best. With that being said, let's go into our outro. We start with Nate. Thank you for staying. You needed to leave and you opted to stay. Where people can
Uh,
find you?
yeah, just Innate on PSN, the real Innate, Xbox and Twitter. Uh, otherwise, man, you already know what it is. Keep it gaming, keep it moving. I'm out.
Weeb, where people can find you?
As the Weeb Sheriff or at Infinite Rhizome on Twitter and Blue Rhizome on YouTube. And yeah, Other Nation.
Marlon, where people can find you?
Hey everybody, it's Morgan, aka Chill Bandit. You can find me on Twitter. Thanks for coming through. Great show. See you guys next week.
See you guys next week. Okay, where people can find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Kaylee1103, KALEIGH1103. My profile pic is of Aloy, but with my dog's face and a PlayStation beanie on. And yeah, Otter Nation.
Other Nation.
Ghost in a Shell, where people can find you, and what do you have for us for tomorrow? I'm already putting the link in for the people in the chat.
It's Ghost in the Shell 55. You can find me on YouTube at Ghost in the Garage Gaming. My show starts tomorrow at 11:30 Central, and just come check us out. We just common sense gaming and messing around and just having some good laughs. And you can also find me tonight at gt7 Drinking and Driving, where we just get on there and we do some drinking and watch how the driving progressively gets worse. So check me out tonight at Ghost in the Garage Gaming at gt7 Drinking and Driving, and tomorrow Ghost in the Garage Gaming, just all topics of the week in review. Thanks
Yeah,
for coming
I
out,
just
guys.
put your YouTube channel for people to see. And the rec, well, yeah, go ahead.
Uh, you can find me in the trenches of Twitter as the rec age 89. And so thank y'all for coming through. See you next week and be blessed, man.
Yeah, as for me, people can find me at _job on Twitter. Thank you all for coming. Great show, great conversation, and yeah, till next week. Later.